What do I eat in a given day? What are the staple foods for me? What does my diet look like in 2024? So many things have changed. I'm not full keto all the time. I still fast here and there, definitely. But yeah, the foods that are in my diet are a little bit different. So rather than take you through exactly what I eat for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, I might as well just lay out the staple foods that are in my diet, like my golden foods that I eat, I don't want to say every day, but they're almost always in my fridge or always in my pantry. They're just foods that are always there. And if you want me to do a more like day in the lifestyle full eating day video, just let me know down in the comments section. If there's a lot of interest, then heck, it's probably worth doing it, but I don't want to waste anyone's time with that kind of nonsense if you don't want to see it. Anyhow, diving in, 4 to 8 eggs per day. This is more than I used to eat. I used to be like a 3 to 4 egg a day kind of guy. Now I will sometimes have eggs for breakfast, and then I will also have eggs for dinner. I have become extremely bullish on eggs, partially because there's been so much heat on eggs, and the more that people try to like bag on my eggs, the more that I simply want to eat them. So yeah, I enjoy my eggs, and I feel like I can absolutely utilize the nutrients, the B vitamins, the choline, the good quality protein, the good quality fats, the monounsaturated fats, because yes, contrary to what a lot of people will say, eggs have a lot of monounsaturated fats, which are like the same kind of fats, similar to like olive oil, really good for us, right? Another thing that I always have stocked in my fridge that I've always got around are strawberries and kiwis. These are like my jam fruits. Now, I still love my blueberries, I still eat those, but I have been extra bullish on the kiwis lately, simply because it is an easier way for me to get a slightly higher amount of carbohydrates in on a day that maybe I'm training more. So if I'm not training as much, maybe I'll switch to the strawberries and more of the blueberries, which are lower glycemic and a little bit overall lower glycemic load, so less carbohydrates in general. But kiwis, for me, especially those little golden kiwis, I don't know if you've seen those things are amazing. We're talking, 15 or so carbohydrates, maybe 20 grams depending on the size. So not a ton of carbohydrates, a good amount of soluble fiber. Yes, I eat them flat out with the skin, furry stuff and all, I just devour them. I would say, generally speaking, I eat at least a half of a purple sweet potato per day. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a good, 5 ounces or so. I don't eat a ton of carbohydrates. I really have on a given day, maybe 100 grams. So if I'm training really hard, I'm probably even still producing ketones. It sounds crazy, but even with 100 grams of carbs, sometimes more, sometimes less, I'm still in a pretty low carb state. So I still haven't changed much there. It's not like I'm Paul Saladino pounding down 300 grams of carbs from honey. Just because I have a tablespoon of honey now and then doesn't mean that I'm devouring it all the time. But I do see the point in me occasionally having carbohydrates if my training demand is there. And I also feel like I'm lean enough where I don't need to constantly be depleting myself if I don't have to. So yeah, some days I will have a full purple sweet potato and some days I'll have half, but almost each day a purple sweet potato is making its way into my mouth in one way or the other. And I like the purple ones because of the anthocyanins, much higher antioxidant content, a little lower beta carotene content than the orange suckers, but we're getting a little bit more of the anthocyanins and the overall just antioxidant effect in the purple ones. I probably eat 1 to 2 pounds of ground beef per day. I know, between the eggs and the ground beef, I eat a lot of protein. So 1 to 2 pounds of lean ground beef. I usually don't go for like the 80% stuff. Usually if I'm cooking it up, I'll opt for like the Trader Joe's like 96% lean stuff. I get the really, really lean stuff, or I'll go for ground chicken, which is usually like 93 to 96%. Ground turkey just tastes weird to me. It tastes like kind of like wet dog, like you ever wash your dog and it gets that weird smell like wet dog, or if like your dog goes into the backyard and poops and it's raining out, that just the weird smell that I can't describe it. It's just like they elicit or emit this like, it's a pheromone. I don't know, the opposite of a pheromone. Anyway, ground turkey tastes like that to me. It's disgusting. So I go for ground chicken. Now, I have recently discovered and fortunately become sponsored by a company called Just Meats, which is, I know I say game changer a lot, but you're gonna wanna try it. Like legitimately hear me out on this. It is prepackaged, already cooked, restaurant grade meat. So for me, like if I'm on the road, I can literally have delicious like taco style ground beef that is already sealed up. It comes to me in an insulated box, and then I can just put it in my fridge, and I can just take it out of the fridge, open it up, and it's already cooked. I can eat it cold, or I can heat it up and I can put it in a siete tortilla. They've got pulled pork. They've got all kinds of different like restaurant quality flavored meats. Like they've got pulled pork. They've got herb roasted chicken. They've got, you name it. They've got brisket, like a Texas barbecue brisket, and it's all pre-cooked. That is what's different about it. So for meal prep or for family meals or for someone that's just busy like I am, it is utterly game-changing. I still love cooking my meat up, and I love cooking. I love being in the kitchen, and my wife does too. But during the day especially, I need something that's on the go. So if you are someone that is in a hurry and likes meat, I promise you, you will like this stuff. So that link down below is a 15% off discount link using code Thomas15. And everything is ethically sourced. It's all grass-fed, grass-finished beef. So you know you get the highest quality stuff as well, because you know I'm all about that. So a big thank you to Just Meats for sending me so much meat and for making this content possible, because you are making me so happy by giving me good quality meat. Anyway, that link's down below. Whey protein, definitely something that I consume almost daily. But I usually have a rule. I usually don't have more than one whey protein shake per day, and it's usually surrounding my workout. The reason is simple. I want to get my protein from real whole food, plain and simple. But one thing that I've pivoted, in case you haven't seen this already, is I'm much more open to whey protein concentrate than I was before. I used to be all about the whey protein isolate. Then I realized, looking at the literature on like lactoferrin and some of the other benefits that come from a whey protein concentrate, which by the way is cheaper anyway, it's pretty nice. It's actually great. I found that it's improved my gut health quite a bit by having that lactoferrin in there. So I don't just have whey protein as another means of getting protein in. I actually feel like I get a nice gut effect from that lactoferrin, and it seems beneficial to me. Like my bowel movements were more regular. It's weird that whey protein can have that effect. So anyhow, like it or love it, it's there for me. Avocados. I don't eat as many avocados as I did when I was really trying to crank my fats up and eating like a higher fat diet. So that's definitely, well, I still eat a higher fat diet, but when I was like full-blown keto and was reducing the carbs and increasing the fats, I was eating usually like 2 avocados a day. Now I usually eat about a half of an avocado per day. On a day where I may be moving around a bit more, I might go up to a full-size avocado. Or when you get ripped off and you get an avocado and you cut it open and like 90% of the thing is the dang pit that's like the size of my head, then I might eat 2 because the meat is just not there. But avocados I still have because I still want those monounsaturated fats. I still want the soluble fiber. I still want the lutein, zeaxanthin. I still want the benefits that come from it. And I stand behind all the videos I've done on avocados. I still think at least a half an avocado a day for almost all people, hugely beneficial. In the dairy category, it's funny to think that 10 years ago, probably long before you were watching, I was actually kind of anti-dairy. Like I was like, dairy's inflammatory. And yeah, there's weird evidence and anecdotal stuff to kind of back that up, but now I eat the crap out of dairy. Now when I say that, it's mainly kefir, so I'll consume raw kefir. If you can't get raw kefir in your state, I recommend goat kefir. So even Trader Joe's has a goat kefir. Okay, so it's going to be a lower lactose content. Now, when it's kefir, when it's been fermented, the lactose is a little bit less anyway. Sometimes you can find even lactose-free kefir, but the goat milk stuff, it's just a better quality. It's a better quality if you ask me, just overall. I think it's more digestible and you have less overall lactose in general, and I think it tastes better, like in a kefir sense. Also, raw cheese, but I don't consume a ton of it. I keep my saturated fats pretty darn low, to be honest with you, because I get enough from my meat and from my eggs that I don't feel like I need to add it through cheese. But then I also will consume some raw milk. And I know only 8 states in the United States can actually have raw milk, so I don't want to spend a lot of time and just make you jealous there. Bulgarian and Greek yogurt. I can't give you quantities because of all these things, it changes on the daily. And that's why I don't think it's fair for me to just say I eat this for breakfast, this for lunch, this for dinner. It's like a revolving door of these amazing foods that I just always have stocked in my house. But Bulgarian yogurt, much higher. We're talking like 40 billion CFU, like significantly higher levels of probiotics than Greek yogurt, but lower protein. So if I'm going for a gut health effect, I'll go more Bulgarian yogurt. If I want more protein, I'll go Greek yogurt, and I might even add a scoop of my whey into that. But what about veggies? Tommy, you've been hanging out with those guys that are on your podcast all the time, hanging out with Sean Baker and Paul Saladino, and now you don't like vegetables? No, I still have vegetables, and it's usually one of three. I don't eat a ton of vegetables all day, every day, but I do eat them every day, okay? And it's either gonna be broccoli, it's gonna be asparagus, or it's gonna be Brussels sprouts. Some other things might weasel their way into there, but those are the things that are always in my fridge. They're easy because I can throw them in an air fryer. They're easy because I can steam them in a second. They're easy because I can even eat them raw if I wanted to, but that's the one kind of rule I have. If I eat a higher amount of veggies, I always cook them. Because let's pretend for a second that some of the risks of the oxalates and the phytic acid could actually be problematic. They could be real. Cooking them pretty much solves that problem in the first place. So out of those three, my favorite is probably asparagus. The most effective when it comes down to health is probably the broccoli. Two types of nuts and seeds that I eat a lot of. Macadamia nuts, they are still in my life. Even when I am not doing keto or I'm not super low carb, mac nuts are still in my life. It may only be 5 of them, it may be an ounce of them, but never really more than a couple ounces of them. Another one that I love that have come back into my life in the last couple of months are Sacha Inchi seeds. I used to be really big on Sacha Inchi seeds when I was doing keto strict because they're basically a 0 net carb seed. And they're more like a nut really, but technically they're a seed. 0 net carbs. They're like 5 grams of carbs, but 5 grams of fiber. And also the highest protein seed that you're gonna find. So even though it's not an animal protein, so it's probably not a complete it's definitely not a complete protein, stuff tastes amazing. Now, whatever, I mean, bag on me for whatever you want because it's a seed and it may have these anti-nutrients in it. As far as satiety is concerned, those things utterly crush my appetite. Macadamia nuts don't crush my appetite. Macadamia nuts, I could crush macadamia nuts and end up eating way too many of those suckers. Whereas the Sacha Inchi seeds, they kind of like chill me out a little bit from overeating. I always have either in my pantry or in my fridge, sardines or smoked salmon. That's the one thing that I don't eat every day because a lot of days I am just not in the mood for canned fish. Like, let's just be real. Like, it's kind of annoying, although it's such a delicious, good superfood. I just say it's annoying because, I don't know, I feel like every time I open the cans, I get the oil on my fingers and my fingers smell nasty and I have to wash my hands like 4 times and my wife doesn't like fish, so then it's like, okay. So I really don't eat it as much as I would like to, but it's always stocked. And if that's not what I'm eating smoked salmon and I'm putting it with like maybe a little bit of cheese or something like that as a little snack, or with my eggs in the morning. Flax is still something that is there on the regular. And I have caught so much heat on flax, but I stand behind the fact that the benefits of flax from the soluble fiber side of things and from some of the nutrients that are in it far outweigh any potential phytoestrogens that are in flax. If we want to talk phytoestrogens, if we want to talk xenoestrogens, let's talk about just taking a breath of air outside, because when you take a breath of air outside or when you eat off of a plastic fork, you are getting a lot of estrogenic material. I am not going to let the phytoestrogens in flax deter me away from the benefits that I get from flax. Newsflash, I've talked about this before, my estradiol levels are as low as they can get without being unhealthy. They're just in range, almost out of range. Now, I could see if flax could be problematic if you were very overweight and estrogen was an actual issue, estrogen dominance was an issue. But even then, there's some evidence that suggests that flax will actually, the phytoestrogens will actually bind to the estrogen receptor and lower the binding of natural estrogens, thereby reducing your estrogen count. And last but not least, and you know this about me, chocolate. Sometimes even the bad stuff, and I say that realistically because most of the time I'll eat regular, good old dark chocolate. I'll eat, 80%, 90%, even 100% dark chocolate. But I've also been known to grab a Hue bar and eat a couple squares of that. There's also a new chocolate called Gatsby, which is kind of interesting. No affiliation whatsoever. It's like a lower calorie chocolate. Or sometimes I'll flat out just have the nasty, naughty stuff, but I'll just have a couple squares of it because it keeps me going, it keeps my sanity, and I love chocolate. As always, keep it locked in here on my channel, and please do check out Just Meat. You won't be disappointed, and a thank you to them for supporting this video. I'll see you tomorrow.